to speak for the group like that. Fabulous. Yeah, my name's Kevin Precious. Show entitled Unholier Than Thou, subtitled The Non-Believing Religious Studies Teacher. I'm just checking, you do get the odd religious believer in, so I'm just probably better to sit near the back, that's what I'm saying. In case of a walkout, you know, it just happens. So I used to teach religious studies. Have we got the other teachers in?
Yeah.
And you sound enthusiastic. Can I ask you what your subject is?
Primary education.
I'll try and do the odd joke about cutting potatoes in halves. Come on, it's a fucking comedy night. Surely you must expect a certain amount of cynicism. So yes, I used to teach religious studies, and as you can imagine, having longer hair and a beard, that's a fabulous way to approach the subject, isn't it? You talk about playing into the stereotype. What's next? Teaching German dressed as Hitler? Or a slow-witted person in a tracksuit teaching PE? That's not a joke, is it? It's a statement of fact, right? Brilliant. I think we're on board here, right? So yeah, I'm teaching it. Long hair, full of it. I'm wandering down the school corridors. I've got kids going, "Oi, Jesus! Yeah, right, yeah!" I went up to them and said, "This isn't a Jesus look. This look is based on a 1970s book entitled The Joy of Sex." And there's a woman in there that looks just like your mum. Not the best role model for the kids, perhaps. It's a tough gig. If you know anything about teaching religion, it's a very tough gig, I can tell you. I mean, the kids don't want to know, basically. I've been in lessons, you know, they just completely fell apart to them. I mean, one time I was teaching a lesson on Hinduism, which went so badly away, it was embarrassing, right? It felt like there was an elephant in the room. I was blue in the face. And the parents don't want to know either. The parents are all, you know, wary as hell. Want to know what you're doing, how you're trying to indoctrinate their little angels, you know, every parent's even the same question. Mr. Precious, can I ask you a question? Of course you can. Fire away. Are you religious? Okay, don't worry about that. I teach it as a humanities subject. 6 world religions, moral and spiritual. We're Jehovah's Witnesses. Oh, right. I spent the entire interview avoiding questions about where I live. One time we had some Jehovah's Witnesses come in to give an assembly and the whole school hid and pretended not to be in. I'm telling you, the offers to tidy my room, we've never seen anything like it. I've got kids going, "Set, give me a detention now, I'll have my homework late tomorrow, come on, save me from them." And did you know this, right? Do you know Jehovah's Witnesses, do you know they believe there's only a limited amount of places in heaven? Yeah. It makes you wonder why they're so proactive when it comes to the business of recruitment. It's like a pyramid selling scheme in reverse. The more you convert, the more you compete. I don't know, then you get to St. Peter's Gate and you're in a queue and there's some Jehovah's Witness behind you. Just, "No, you go ahead. Please bear in mind, though, might play against you if you've never celebrated Christmas or had a blood transfusion." Just saying, you know. But other teachers aren't subjected to that, are they? They're not expected to occupy the role on a parent's evening. You don't get geography teachers. "Excuse me, can I ask you a question?" Of course you can, fire away. "Have you travelled?" I don't want my child being taught by a recluse. See your passport for evidence, you know. Or PE teachers, "Are you a sadistic bastard?" I want my child subjected to the same ritualised humiliation and bullying I suffered when I was a kid. I suggest you go and watch the film Kes. It's on some instruction. But yeah, you get it all the time. Parents even, religious studies teachers. "Excuse me, Mr. Precious, can I ask you a question?" Of course you can. Fire away. "Are you religious?" No, you don't have to. You know, 6 world religions, moral and spiritual. We're pagans. Paganism. You can't teach paganism, can you? Can you imagine the governors would have a fit? Come on, kids, gather ye round. stones, gather ye crystals, whereof to perform a fertility ritual. On an ancient burial ground, they titled the Sir Ernest Man. Now, some factions of the media have seen fit to confuse this with a practice called dogging. I can assure you it's not. However, we are going to need a virgin to sacrifice. Not you, Shona. Not if what's written on your exercise book is anything to go back. I'm a thing with Shona. I don't know. But yeah, so what you've got subjects, right, which as a consequence of all, the potential controversies around it, you've got all this kind of child-friendly, user-friendly texts that have been invented for purpose, like the Cockney Bible. Yeah? Have you heard of this? The Cockney Bible. As though the Bible isn't a challenging enough read without putting some Guy Ritchie spin on it. What's Jesus going to do? Stand at the Last Supper? One of you fucking muppets is a grass. Sell it out for 30 pieces of silver off at least a fucking monkey. Let me Judas stand up. Easy, Jesus. We've all had a drink. It's all crucified, mate. But it has its pluses, it has its pluses. I do a lot of this now, go to a lot of gigs, can't always get a seat on the train. Here's a little tip for you, find yourself in that scenario, take a Bible on the train. It's amazing, you can shift half the carriage. Even the ticket inspector doesn't want to know. He's like, ticket, flip, believe you, mate, believe you. Of course, check a copy of the Quran, you can have the entire train to yourself. People jumping out the windows. Hey, come back, it's just a sacred text. What's up? Look, I'll tell you what, I'll pop it back in my rucksack. This is not a jihadi look. This look is based on a 1970s book. Right? But I'm sensing by the age demographic in this room, you're probably like me, your teachers were Christians, were they not? And they thought it would be a jolly good idea, like me, if I was to become a Christian as well. And I thought it would be a jolly good idea if they just shoved their Christianity in a place the good Lord intended for his beneficent light not to shine. Fucking arse, Obviously you couldn't say that, could you? You couldn't say that. You had to frame your hostility within a well-constructed line of questioning, wouldn't you? You'd say stuff like, sir, if there is a God, as you suggest, and this God is all wise and all powerful, why would he get a dick like you to do the marketing? It makes no commercial sense whatsoever, sir. With your shabby, unkempt appearance, your ill-fitting suit with the dubious stains on the trousers. We never said that either. We said what every kid ever says in an RE lesson when they don't want to do it. Go, sir, why do I have to do this? I'm not religious. And that teacher would go, not religious. Not religious. You know what happens when you don't bring your religion into school. You have to do the lesson in your underpants. That was a PE teacher, wasn't it? But what I like about saying that is you all sit there and go, yeah, RE teacher, sexual impropriety, that sounds about right. And it's a cliche, isn't it? It's a cliche about people involved in the world of something I've been stereotyping PE teachers. And we all know that not every PE teacher is some knuckle-dragging moron too stupid to study a proper academic subject, combined with some perverse need to subjugate individuals half their size, despite sharing a similar level of maturity. Right? And just as that's a stereotype and a cliche, not all RE teachers have got some shadowy sexual aspect to their nature they're struggling to suppress. However, I had two RE teachers, right? The first one got caught importuning in a toilet in Hull. Yeah, exactly, the toilet in Hull. People are more shocked by that than oh, it's fucking dreadful, but poor bastards, you know. The second one, you're right, sir.
turning his sound down.
Oh, is it? Oh, jolly good. Are you listening to something else? It's like my RE lesson all of a sudden. Well, I'll have to confiscate your phone, you know. Get it back at the end of the gig. Right. The second of my RE teachers, he married one of his sixth formers shortly after she left the sixth form. Yes, exactly. Guess which one got the sack? The first guy, right? Because back in the 1970s when I grew up, you know, bloody homosexuality was seen as an abomination and a threat to society. Whereas copping off with a teenager, that's an honour, wasn't it? Passport to the world of TV and radio celebrity. Get a letter fast-tracked on Jim will fix it. A letter from an RE teacher. Which fix you're not following this, I'm not going with it. Fix it for me to marry one of my students. I can do that. I'm going to fucking persist. I actually do dress up as Jimmy Savile once a year for a pagan festival. I do. Every 1st of October, get the gold marmade tracksuit out, the wrong brick, right? Those trick-or-treaters turn up. I'm fucking coming here, I will give you a treat. That's the essence of that. They do say if you can remember the 1960s, you weren't there. If you can remember the 1970s, the police might like a little word. Don't even get me started on the 1980s, eh? Because it now turns out there's more than one set of minors getting fucked by the establishment. I think I'm in the right crowd here. I really do. But sexual impropriety, if you teach adolescents, right, it's an ever-present fucking phenomenon, right? Don't get me wrong, and don't belittle them because they've got all the questions you have. They might not frame them in the right way. And I would try and give an unbiased answer, you know, give two sides without necessarily interjecting and just suppressing my own thing, you know. But the sex is always that. I mean, you get a question like, sir, see all them miracles in the Bible? How come you don't get miracles nowadays? That go well. Christians believe that God intervened in the world back in ancient times in the form of miracles, and there were witnesses to these events, and they tell the stories, and eventually the stories passed down and became what we know of the Bible. Whereas a non-believer might say that these were more primitive or superstitious times, and that these so-called miracles might be capable of being explained scientifically, and that stories or anecdotes aren't a reliable form of evidence. And I'm tending towards the latter. Because we can't seem to establish, anecdotally or otherwise, who it was drew that penis on the poster of Mahatma Gandhi outside our room. I'm sensing a certain level of passive resistance, ironically enough. The sort of passive resistance I suspect Mr. Gandhi would have been very impressed by. Then you get a question like, sir, how come Christian women are expected to save themselves from marriage, yet God can just get Mary pregnant? And I'm like, well, that's a very good question, Shona. Christians believe God had a special purpose for Mary, which was to bring his son into the world so that he might grow up to be the Messiah, the chosen one, and save us and die for our sins and open the way back to heaven, so that we might too experience eternal life. A very different concept, but I will explain possibly in the next year or so. Whereas a critic, a non-believer, a feminist possibly, would say that, you know, these are both examples of, this a bit, fuck it. As well as which, it's not just Christian women are expected to save themselves, Christian men are as well, Shona, of course they are, because love in a Christian context and sex is expected to take within the confines of a committed relationship. Whereas a non-believer, a critic, a feminist possibly, would say these are both examples of what we might term patriarchal fertility control. Men controlling women's reproductive faculties over time and to some extent to the present day. And I'm tending towards the latter. Because when was the last time you saw a vagina on a poster outside London? Perhaps Mr. Gandhi would like to be assaulted by a well-drafted vagina, as opposed to the hideously overblown, somewhat monstrous fucking concoctions currently on display. And then you get the classic question, the classic teen angst about masturbation question. Right? So, if there is a heaven, do you think our dead relatives can see this? Well, why don't we petition them with prayer? Hey? Why don't we get him to give us a sign, maybe a cloud-shaped phallus in the sky, and he can fucking point to that culprit, which would want the penis on the Gandhi poster outside my room, for a start. I have to say, right, that's probably what Mr. Gandhi had. Mr. Gandhi shouldn't get angry and lose your fucking diction, right? That's probably what Mr. Gandhi had in mind when he first donned that simple uniform. Not only will this serve as a means of protest, right? Oh, fuck this, right? It's been a while, folks, sorry. I think you're the sort of audience that can admit your flaws in it. But heaven's a funny one, isn't it? He said, changing the subject. Heaven's a funny one. Not only is it unverifiable, it's entirely subjective, isn't it? Eh? Your idea of heaven, mine, totally different thing. I don't know if you've been accosted, like by some arsehole in the street out there, comes up to you. Excuse me, sir, do you realise the kingdom of heaven awaits? You go, you're going to be there. I sincerely hope so. Well, that's not fucking heaven, is it? The prospect of your presence suggests the precise opposite. You're doing wandering out heaven going wild and corporeal, I can abuse myself in new and interesting ways without feeling anything due to a lack of physical... Oh, fuck me, it's that idiot I met in Leicester. I'm trying to go, this isn't heaven, it's hell, for fuck's sake. Because we're going to be bits of philosophy in here, right? This is two mutually exclusive questions, okay, philosophically speaking. How did we get here, and what happens when we're not here? And I don't believe it's come up with the idea of God as an answer to both, but in the interest of logic, you could argue for God, the Creator, and sod all at the end. Yes. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. Look, I'll make this easy, right? How appealing would Father Christmas be to kids without the prospect of a present? Exactly. How would you explain that to? Excuse me, Dad, can you explain this Father Christmas to me? Of course, come here, son, I'll tell you what happens. He comes in your room, has a bit of a mosey around, and then fucks off. But he moves in mysterious ways, apparently. But my concern, right, and we're getting a bit more hardcore on my concern is that there's a lot of discussion happening around the subject of religious studies, and a lot of chaos as well, as far as I see. You've got a potentially increasing faith schools happening at the moment, right? You've also got poor provision at the academy level. And I know people don't know this, because you've got busy lives, right? You've got busy lives. As a teacher, you will know this. They've got to worry about parking their 4x4 on the double yellow lines, haven't they? Immediately outside the school. Despite the constant protestations on the part of the head teacher and a permanent footnote in the fucking school newsletter. They're going to go on Facebook and complain about their children's homework. When it really presents them with an opportunity to engage with said child and risk appearing as the over-entitled, ignorant, intellectually challenged fuckwits they truly are. Busy lives. As I was in the school, they had a Protestant fundamentalist come in to give an assembly. A Protestant fundamentalist. Now, it'd be easy for me to caricature this guy, you know, shabby, unkempt, still-fitting suit, dubious stains on the trousers. You look worse than that. You look normal. Well, I say normal. Do you know that kind of normal that the sort of TV and radio people specialise in when they go to visit the neighbours after the police have just found a serial killer in the midst? They go, oh, he seems so normal. He just kept himself to himself. We thought those young men coming down for the prayer meeting were helping him with a spot on midnight gardening. But he's a Protestant fundamentalist, right? Right. He believes that not only is the Bible true, it's the actual Word of God. Yeah? Have you read the Old Testament? Okay, spoiler alert. Some of you younger people, you might want to find yourself a safe space. Because, not the God of the Old Testament, right, by our modern standards, homophobic, misogynistic, genocidal, and that's before you get to detail like the wholesale Egyptian baby annihilation. I'm assuming it's babies, it actually says firstborn in the text, right? Which means you could have had characters wandering around Egypt going, oh, I'm 79, but I'm the oldest in my family. What do you mean, me? Oh, babies, don't fuck for that. Ramses, Nefertiti's babies, apparently. What the fuck is that Hebrew god like, eh? Not only homophobic, misogynistic and genocidal, can't even put an age cap on mass infanticide. And he's got these boards, right? He's got these boards on the stage with loads of Bible stories, including the creation story, one of them, the creation story, the 7-day creation story. That's also wacky. It's also logically inconsistent business of God creating light on the first day and the sun on the fourth day. That's the effect before the cause, isn't it? What a fucking silver power that is. Can you imagine if you had that in your possession? You'd be able to pass an exam and then think, fuck it, won't bother turning up. You'd be swallowing it up on the cost of their soul with your ill-gotten gains and sorry, I won't rob the bank after all. Right? You can impregnate a virgin. It's alright, folks, I can wait. But, you know, I find religious believers, more philosophy of religious believers are quite happy to invoke the laws of cause and effect when it suits them, don't they? Have you ever chucked the Big Bang Theory into the conversation? Oh, the Big Bang's all very well. You know, something can't come out of nothing. There had to be something there before the Big Bang. You know what that something is? Why, God, of course. Because surely, by the same argument, there had to be something there before God. Oh no, God is, was, and always shall be. And something can't come out of nothing. That's correct. No further question. I think we've demonstrated, Your Honour, that perhaps something can't come out of nothing, but nothing can indeed come out of something, where that nothing is a cogent fucking argument, and that something is intellectually jammed fuck with in front of me. So the Protestant fundamentalists is blathering on, whatever they say, I don't know, don't touch yourself, we can tell. Fuck them. And he gets to the end of this assembly, and he says, are there any questions? And this one solitary hand goes up, right? This one kid in the school. But you all know that he's not at the top of the academic pile. He's not at the bottom, right? He's not sporty. He's not even getting bullied. Yeah? Can you imagine you're so insignificant in a school? Even the bullies don't want to know. You're going home to your mum and dad. Have you been bullied today? No, I can't seem to get an interest. So, what's wrong with you? But he's a thinker. He's perfect for religious studies. He's a thinker. And I know, he can't get it down on paper, but he's got some great skills, you know, intellectually, potentially. And I know, because I once had a rare lapse in professional behaviour in the classroom. I don't know if you can picture this. That sounds like a possibility in your minds already, but we somehow got to the subject of anthropomorphism. Why is God always depicted as a man? He could be a woman, sir. And I said, he could be a bloody biscuit for all the difference he's going to make to my life. It sounds like a lapse in professional behaviour. But the lesson that followed was a masterpiece of lateral thinking. I've got kids going, sir, he's got a hot knot. I think he's a pink wafer. I think he's a Jaffa cake. That's a cake. The clue's in the fucking name. And this kid, this seldom seen kid he puts his hand up and goes, I don't think he's a biscuit, sir. I overheard my parents at night talking about chocolate bars that they used to be able to buy, and I went all misty-eyed, you know, like a Texan, a Fuse, a Cabana. And is that right, Texan, Fuse, Cabana? He said, I said, yeah, so what has, you know, chocolate bars of that ilk got to do with the potential existence or non-existence. He said, they no longer exist. Well, fucking hell. Go to the top of the class, right? And this is the kid, right, who puts his hand up in the assembly, Protestant fundamentalist. Have you got any questions? And this kid goes, like that, he goes, yes, what's your question? And this kid goes, what if it's not true? And the Protestant fundamentalist, he just exploded, the buttons flying off his unfitting suits, dubious stains evaporating upstairs. It is true! This is it, it is true! It is true! I mean, I don't know if you spotted, a flaw in this gentleman's reason, but just shouting it is true at the kid without recourse to rational argument or empirical evidence, there's no way to make the point, is it, really? I mean, if that was the case, how many court cases could you win just by taking somebody's word for it? Right? It is true, you've heard my clients with regards to the bodies in the garden. He's protested his innocence on many occasions. Now, I'm willing to suggest to you, members of the jury, that in this instance, the bodies got killed and then my client decided not to do it. A classic case of the effect before the cause. Some of it's linked, right? But the biggest thing the kids struggle with is the existence of evil and suffering, which is a thing I think most adults proffer as an argument against God. Yeah? If there is a God, and God is wise and kind and wonderful, why is there so much evil and suffering in the world? Like hurricanes and tsunamis and murder, war, terror, poverty, disease, pestilence, whatever the fuck that is, and earthquakes, and then there's really awful stuff, isn't there? There's really awful stuff like Piers Morgan. I mean, who amongst us would not rather find ourselves in an earthquake in proximity to Piers Morgan? There's your argument right there, folks. What sort of an all-loving God creates a smug, self-narcissistic, self-serving tool like fucking Piers Morgan? It's going to test anybody's faith, that, for fuck's sake. But I'll tell you what gets me about earthquakes, right? You've all seen them on the TV. I'm not running the victims down at all, but you've seen this business of an earthquake, right? 10 days in, I think everybody's, that's it. We're going to clear up and leave and just let them and then you hear this scratching, yeah? And it's going to think, bloody hell, there's another survivor still under there. Right, so everybody scrabbles in, they all get in there, and then eventually they pull somebody out, and they're covered in so much grey chalk dust, they look like a human statue, and you're sitting there thinking, that's great, isn't it? That's all the world needs. Another fucking mime artist. Stood up there. I went to drama school for 3 years. I can stand still for it. What's the first thing they say in that situation? Hey? It's a miracle! Is this the same miracle provider who just fucking wiped out half the extended family in 2/3 of your village? It's not a miracle, it's charms. You were stood in such a way that when the earthquake hit, a wardrobe cascaded forward, crashed over you, and enveloped you and protected you as the ceiling fell in. Not a bloody miracle at all. I think we need to get out there and do some serious mining. No, gee. So, right? But the philosophy thing again, the believers say, as far as human evil and suffering is concerned, evil and suffering created by humans, God has given us free will. And thereby we can choose whether to be evil or not. And if we are good, we find our way back to God and God's glory and God's love. Well, that isn't free will, is it? That's conditional love. That's do what I say and I'll put you in the movie. Hashtag God too. Hashtag patriarchal construct. We'll get off the rules. I would suggest to you, right, if you are a believer, in no other instance would you accept something with so many inherent flaws, would you? I mean, have you seen the reviews on TripAdvisor? When I first purchased my planet Earth, I noticed there was an overwhelming presence of hurricanes, tsunamis, pestilence, whatever the fuck that is, poverty, disease, terror, murder, earthquakes. Well, I attempted to contact the manufacturer, only to be told he wasn't available. However, his representative suggested that the planet Earth would be improved if I was to love the manufacturer a bit more. I think at the very least they could put a label on there saying may contain traces of Piers Morgan. You know. But I'm a skeptic. I don't know if you've picked up on that, but if that's been a little too transparent in the staging of this here show. I've been doing this show for an outfit called Skeptics in the Pub. I don't know if you've heard of them, yeah? Skeptics in the Pub. A really good thing which you should investigate, but it struck me when I first heard the title. I thought, that sounds like a really hard thing to organise, doesn't it? Would you like to come to a skeptics meeting? Well, I'm not sure, really. You'd be brilliant. Come on. You are perfect, right? Come to a skeptics meeting. Don't make up your mind. Oh, better still. Come on, right? And I'm what you would term an agnostic, right? I'm an agnostic, and you tell people this, and I can tell you, it doesn't play very well with religious people. It seems to go down even worse with hardcore atheists. It does. Hardcore atheists are like, agnostic, you wanker. Honestly, what's up? You used to live at home with your mum, and she took you in bed at night and cut the edges off your sandwiches. Huh? I bet you vote Lib Dem, don't you? Right? Come on, let's give the agnostic a wedgie, come on. I don't know if you ever had a wedgie off a hardcore atheist. Yeah? It's a bit like getting a wedgie off a Roman Catholic priest, except it's just a wedgie. That would be the next news. But I'm a humanist. I go to humanist meetings as well. And are we all familiar? Yeah? Humanist, right, let me explain, right? Because when I say this to people who don't know what a humanist is, they react like you've joined some bizarre cult. Yeah? And it's nothing like a cult, is it? Hey? When was the last time I hadn't seen Kevin for ages? He's ran off with some humanists. They gave him a means with which to construct his thoughts and all of his arguments. He's going round the place, debating people rationally. It's a terrible business. It's something like a cult. I mean, when was the last time you heard of mass humanist suicide? Unless it's some radical new form of protest at the laws on euthanasia. So we play with this, come on. I'm quite excited by them. Don't send your dying relatives out to Switzerland. Get together with other people with dying relatives. Have a mass humanist suicide outside the House of Parliament. You're not really buying this, are you? Yeah, you have to be careful, won't you, to clear the bodies up fairly pronto. You don't want the general public confusing them with members of the House of Lords. Mass humanist suicide. I tell you, there's something in that. There is. Yes, I'm a humanist. It's nothing like a cult. You're never going to see me in a humanist deprogramming unit, are you? Then I'm standing there going, no, I had a terrible childhood. I really did. I mean, my parents were awful. Do you know what they used to do to me? They used to tell me to question authority, think for myself, and keep an open mind. Looking back, I realised they were trying to indoctrinate me. Bringing them to their views. Terrible. And I got to humanist meetings. There was no dancing thing either. There was no people talk about religious conversion. I just gradually thought, this sounds interesting, it sounds in line with my thinking, let's explore. You won't ever hear me on Thoughts of the Day going, I was on the road to Nuneaton to perform at a comedy emporium entitled The Chocolate Monkey's Nuts. And whilst there, I stayed in a resting lodge entitled The Premier Inn. You may have heard of it. Similar to that of my comedic brethren, Lenny Henry. And while I was there, I purchased a cheese and tomato toasted sandwich, upon which I could clearly make out the face of the great Richard Dawkins. Saying natural selection, confirmed, biological determined, didn't happen. Just got that, you know. So I got to humanist meetings, and people go, what do you do? We go, we debate stuff, we talk about stuff, we have lectures, we talk about books, plural. Yes, books. You say that doesn't play with a religious book. You go, books, well, if you knew anything, Mr. Religious Studies teacher, about the Bible, you'd realise it's a collection of books It's a library. You know, I guess some of your adherents think they're all written by the same bloke, don't they? Hey? That's going to make for a hell of a literary awards ceremony, isn't it? And the nominations are Genesis, written by God. Right? Daniel, written by God. Luke, written by God. And Revelations, written by God. This is impossible to call, isn't it? Who's going to get it? It's just such an open field this year. I'm so excited, I'm sure you are. And the winner is God! Right? Unfortunately, God can't be with us. We've got one of his friends to come along and collect the award. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up. The one and only, the legend that is Sir Clifford. With a fleet of helicopters, it seems. So yeah, we discuss books, you know, and you can disagree. You know, you take something in, you're not going to get stoned for apostasy or burnt as a heretic, are you? Eh? You're not going to sort of look, you have brought in the God delusion. We are followers of the great Hitchens, polemicists. This man's a deviant. Burn him. You know, I mean, the worst thing, right, that can happen to you at Humanist Meet if you have a falling out, is you're going to be met with a wave of passive-aggressive liberal disapproval. And if these gigs prove nothing else, I can fucking deal with that. It's a shame we didn't have passive-aggressive liberal disapproval in medieval times to deal with witches, isn't it? Can you imagine? She be a witch! She be... Well, we just won't speak to her. You see the crossover, there's no need for a fuss, is there? Passive-aggressive liberal disapproval. Right? But religious leaders do say, quite rightly actually, what about the God-shaped hole? Yeah? What about... Have you heard of this, the God-shaped hole? Yeah, the God-shaped hole, I'll explain. Basically, the idea that if you reason God out of the picture, you don't sort of gain anything, you lose something, because we still have an aspect to our psyche that requires some sort of spiritual fulfillment and spiritual explanation. Now, from what you've seen in our humour so far, when I first heard the term the God-shaped hole, I imagined an individual with a G tattooed on one buttock and a B tattooed on the other. That would be a hell of a way to evangelise. But I interest you in the word God. Have you got a hole in your life that needs filling? Because one of the things, I used to live in White. Right, I'm not, by the way. Having a little internal dialogue, of course. It's a beautiful, I'm talking about the God-shaped hole, the alternate sort of things you've got there. It's a beautiful game town, it's a beautiful party town. There's a lot of hippies there as well. Yeah, a lot of hippies. I don't know what the collective noun for hippies is. I think it's a stench. This is an entry-level joke. You can do your own. Just sit there and do your own joke. But there's a lot of hippies there. You know, alternate, perspectives, if you like. And I was at an after-show party, right? Some shit or other, I can't remember. It's like Macbeth in space. Do you know one of those ideas that should have stayed squarely in the hash, right? I'm going to agree with Macbeth in space. I'm going to take, that's not going to take up at all. What's next? Richard III set in a car park in Leicester. Take off. But I don't really know anyone, you know. The girlfriend at the time's in it, I don't know anyone, they're a little bit aloof. I get chatting to somebody eventually. I don't know if you've had this experience, I'm chatting to somebody, and you know when you're chatting to somebody for the first time, and you can't quite work out when you connect with them, when you like them, you're just not quite sure about it. And then they ask you what star sign you are, and you go, oh, you are a fucking arsehole. I was just beginning to take you seriously. That's too trusting, yeah? Typical Pisces. Overburdened with empathy, apparently. Yeah, do you know what kills me about star sign people as well? They don't realise, they just chuck the negative traits at you, don't they? They just go, oh, Pisces, yes, unreliable, oversensitive and prone to drug and alcohol abuse. You think he's prone to withering disdain for new age fuckwits on your little reader? Doesn't that play out in reality, does it? When have you ever been in any formal situation, like maybe getting a bank loan or something like that, and the bank manager stuff. Well, all the paperwork seems to be in order. I think we just need a few signatures. Just if you hang on the moments or a paces. I'm not sure about this at all. Right? Unreliable and prone to drug and alcohol abuse. You've not been in credit for the last 5 years. What's up with it? Oversensitive as well. But I'm not saying I haven't doubted with the star signs. I think some of us will no doubt have done so. If there was a possibility of a romantic assignation in there. Have you not, in my youth? A young lady? What stars do you play along, don't you? It's some sort of astrological charade. What star sign? What do you think I am? Well, judging by the level of desperation that's on display, I'd say you're either a Virgo or a Cancer. How do you work that out? Well, Virgo, you've never done it before, or Cancer, you're afraid it's going to be your last. You must be an Aquarius in that fucking cold water pouring situation. I've even gone down the Chinese star signs thing. Was it the star signs that tipped you over the edge? I've had enough. You can take the piss out of God all the way. Take the piss out of Virgo or Cancers. I'm off. I've even gone down the Chinese star signs. I'm a tiger. Is that any good to you? Your astrological reading? Well, that's sealed the in. I'm a tiger. My dad was a tiger. Fuck that. I don't think we're going down that on a Freudian route. You want to be in the middle of sexual congress and simply go, tell me it wasn't me who split you in Unholier. It's dark in here. But I got chatting to this person. As you do, we went on to the next question. You know, the next question. Just check the time actually, folks, because I think what's happening is what happens in Leicester. We've reached the 40-minute mark where the kids start getting listless. It's only about 10-15 minutes. That's not going to help, is it? Fucking deconstructing the thing. So what do you do? Come on, stay with it. It's good. There'll be a conclusion of sort. What do you do for a living? And I thought, well, you can see I'm a snarky arsehole. I said, what do you do for a living? I didn't say this. I said, oh, I'm a painter. Well, a painter, how marvellous. Is that figurative or abstract? I said, no, sheds. I'm currently working within the medium of creosote on a series of ideas I shall call having a proper fucking job. I asked this person, what do you do for a living? Right? And they went, oh, I'm an unemployed feng shui consultant. About 15 years ago, right? And, is there any other kind? I thought feng shui was an urban myth. I'm an unemployed feng shui consultant. Times are hard economically, aren't they? You should meet a friend of mine. He's an unemployed unicorn farmer. I've got another friend, an unemployed witch finder general, struggles to find work since they introduced passive-aggressive liberal disapproval as a means of deterring witches. Here's the thing, if you've got enough money, right, to pay somebody to rearrange your furniture, it's not your furniture that needs rearranging, it's your head, or preferably your face, right? No, I say that because I've got a version, I've got a variety on the theme, feng shui, based on ancient northern wisdom from the 1970s, right? What we do is we sit you in a chair, I come bowing over, hit it really hard in the face. Now, you won't feel any immediate benefits, but over a period of time, that is a process called rocking some fucking senses. You'd better see a feng shui consultant and then employ your otherwise on a council estate, wouldn't it? Oh, fucking hell, mate, the vibrations in here are terrible. Hey, get them white goods, sling them in the garden for a start. That sofa, bang it on your mate's front, share the bathroom, come on! But, I'll tell you what also gets me on that score is what I used to. I know it's cultural appropriation. You know the business with the dictionary too. I don't know who I am. I have no sense of individual person. Nothing. It's just middle class life affords me sort of relative level of affluence, but nothing really. I know. I'll get an ethnic instrument. I'll get a didgeridoo. That'll sort me out. Right, you'll sound like me when I was about 3 years old with a toilet roll holder. You can just go and put that down. You know it's been there your dad's arse. You own it, Mum? I'll play it. But they counter. This is a good one. A religious believer will counter with the idea of Pascal's wager. Are you familiar with Pascal's wager? No, okay, I'll explain it to you. Pascal's wager, 17th century, 18th century French philosopher and mathematician who suggested that it is better to gamble on the existence of God because there is more to gain, rather than not doing so. So if you gamble on the existence of God, and God does exist, God may well then be pleased with you for doing so, and you may be admitted to heaven, as opposed to gambling on non-existence and going to the other place. You know, well, that's not right, is it? It's not about having a bet, is it? It's about authenticity, it's about conviction, it's about having a belief and sticking with it. I mean, to me that sounds like, do you realise you could increase your sexual options if you were to consider becoming bisexual? Okay? Let's explore this now. Because I would suggest that would be the perfect response from my original religious studies teacher when he got caught importuning in the toilet. If that was me, I would go, no, officer, no, I wasn't importuning. I think you're fine. I was taking part in a combined experiment, gambling on God's existence, which I see as inauthentic, by the way, and increasing my sexual options by virtue of becoming bisexual. Now, you as a police officer, I wouldn't expect you to understand the concept of Pascal's wager. However, allow me to give you a visual demonstration. Have you heard of the God-shaped hole? Yes. So, you might very well say, this is wonderful. You might very well say, well, you've just been running religion down, it's easy, no one do that, nothing to propose as an alternative. Have you got anything? I have actually, I've got an idea, right? And hopefully it's in the form of a joke. Whether we recognise it or not. But when I read this joke, I really did what a lot of comedians claim to do when they've written a joke they liked, which is take the rest of the day off. And then I looked at it, I examined it a bit closer, and I realised actually, despite the fact that my setup is original, the punchline is of a cosmic variety. You'll find a similar punchline in the teachings of the Buddha. You'll find it in the writings of 19th century German romantic philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. It's there, it's present in the work of now deceased writer, actor, director Harold Ramis. I've even seen a version of the joke where only fools and horses. I thought, fuck it, they're all dead. Hey, what are they going to do? Sue me by seance? Some glass travelling around the temple and spelling out the word you plonker. Well, this is the joke, right? You're on your deathbed. Right, it's a cheery little number. And you're just about to expire. And then you hear a voice. And the voice says to you, hello, I see it's time. And I've got some good news and some bad news. You think, is that God? I haven't got time for that. It's meant I've had loads of opiates, maybe just out of my mind. I've got some good news and I've got some bad news. What would you like first? And you say, I'll have the good news. What's the good news? And the voice says, there is such a thing as life after death. It's reincarnation. And you think, well, what's the bad news then? You're coming back as yourself. Enjoy your Groundhog Day, fucker. Don't come back until you got it right, if you don't mind. Because here's the thing, right? Here's a question for you as an audience. Do you know what men's biggest deathbed regrets are? It's fairly transparent. I know every bloke in this room knows precisely what I'm talking about. Not enough sex, apparently. Yeah, whereas I read a very informed article the other day that suggested that the people who get the most out of life are those people who help others. So I have been known to ask at this juncture if any of the ladies in the room would like to help me with a philosophical experiment. Purely in the interests of research. But it's it's a conceptual joke, isn't it? The idea is if you had to keep coming back as yourself, as in the film Groundhog Day, at what point would you decide you'd want to get off that wheel and sort of determine what the good life is? What's the good life, you know? Because I'm seeing a lot of people who are perhaps older than me. I wouldn't want to get to a more advanced age and be a bitter old sod, basically. Do you know what I mean? That sort of, in my day, people my age were treated with more respect. In your day, people your age were dead. So I think we need to continue to evolve, if possible, before that finite moment comes, or not, you know. That's the key phrase, isn't it? In my day. In my day. We didn't have all this internet in my day, we didn't have social media, we didn't have emails, we just had to make do. No, but in your day you had free education, affordable housing and guaranteed pensions. You need to shut the fuck up, you know. You've just got your country back as well. I'm not saying either way. All I'm saying is I haven't seen a noticeable increase in pensionable well-being as a result. Nothing ever comes out of that phrase, does it? Nothing good. In my day, if a child behaved like that, you could give him a little slap on the back of the legs. When he's vulnerable, he doesn't know his own mind. He can't control his bowel movements. By the same token, we should be able to hit old people. Oh, for fuck's sake, Grandad, look at the state of this place. Why didn't you tell me a colostomy bag needed medicine? For fuck's sake, get in that chair. It's conceptual, folks. But I'm saying this because it's like, you know, at least at this very point in my life, I'm glad I'm into the humanism and the more rational thing. I have come back as myself, who the fuck knows? Because I don't want to be religious, right? This seems like the right thing. I want astrology, no longer interested in that, or any other form of magical thinking. I mean, how many among us have ever thrown a coin in a well and then wished we hadn't? Especially when you needed money for the car. Fucking hell, if only I hadn't been such a superstitious twat. Is there anything more depressing than getting stuck by a little old lady talking of fate, buying lottery tickets in a newsagent? Give me a couple of Thunderbirds, I'm feeling lucky. You think you're lucky? Lucky? At this rate, you'd be lucky to make it to the door. What the fuck are you going to do if you win? Get yourself a toy boy and a labial reduction? Lucky person in that scenario is the toy boy, isn't it? Bouncing into his local, right? Yeah, how you doing? You look like you're coming into money. I'd say that. Very astute observation you've just made. Nobody's been had in the protest of these somewhat malevolent gangs. But I mean, the religious believer I've heard encountered, and I believe it to be true, is they've suggested, you know, despite the absence of God, we have, as a society, we've become more materialistic, more individualistic, and as a result, a more narcissistic personality has emerged. And I think that's a whole other show. I mean, I would not just suggest. I mean, I can't imagine a narcissist anonymous, can you? Hello, my name's and I'm a narcissist. Would anybody mind if I filmed this? On Facebook, you know. Everybody else, just out the way, just me, you know. And as for the materialism, I mean, you know, I can't stand all those bloody programs, you know, like Now on Sugar One, The Apprentice, you know, all that get rich quick nonsense that we have on the TV. Okay? You alright there? All that get rich quick nonsense, right? And Alan Sugar shouting at you. You know, why would I want to be shouted at by a man with a face like a decaying cauliflower? Or a face like any other member of the Brachycaceae genus, for that matter. Be it a decaying cabbage, a decaying broccoli, or a decaying sprout. Now I realise that's not funny, but I think you can all agree it's fucking well researched. It depresses me, it does. I've done all that stuff about religion and know that, but I had to put some research into that. The most researched bit in the show, and no fucker laughs at it. I feel duty bound to keep it in. But I suppose it depends how you measure success, right? I never set out to make money, so in that way, I'm a success. What to listen. But yeah, being a teacher is a means of measuring success, helping others. I think it is, yes. Now, I was quite happy when I was a teacher. I was a lot happier when I left. I was happy, right? And there's this conversation going on about religious studies as a subject at the moment. There are a lot of faith groups after it. I don't think it's a good thing, you know, and there's a lot of poor provision at the academy level, as I've suggested, you know. And I think we should teach it in a secular way, you know, keep religion and education. So this is a secular country. Surely, well, not if you include those 26 unelected bishops in the House of Lords, it isn't. An unelected body presiding over the affairs of this country. Shall we have a referendum? Can't see that playing out too well. We need to stay clear of a referendum instead of this, but yeah, keep it separate. Let's have a philosophical subject where we study about, learn about, teach kids how to think, not what to think. Yeah? And if they want to go and study their holy book, go to your place of worship and do it. Whatever happened to Sunday school? Right? Okay, for the benefit of some of you younger people, Sunday school was like a shit book club where you never get past the first suggestion. But teach it as a secular thing. That's me, you know, how to think, not what to think. Then at the very least, if I ever teach religious studies again, I can be sitting there and a parent saying, when that question drops in, Mr. Precious, can I ask you a question? Are you religious? It's none of your fucking business. I teach it as a secular subject. Moral and spiritual education. 6 world. Like I tell you what, I'll give you an example. An example a wonderful student came up with in my class the other day. As far as I'm concerned, if we're going to debate the existence of God, might as well be a biscuit. Yeah, have a hot one. Ladies and gentlemen, that is me. It's been a great pleasure to. I haven't done this for about 4 or 5 months, and it's a fantastic reception I just had in here. So I'm very, very taken with that. So I've got a few coming up, and it feels like the sense of purpose is still there, and equally lovely reception on your part. I am on Twitter at Kevin Precious, or Facebook page Kevin Precious Comedy. If you want to come and have a conversation, that would be wonderful. I am sort of trying to get this show into other places so that I can take it around a bit more. But in the meantime, this has absolutely been a pleasure. It's been great to talk to you. Do you enjoy it?